Hi, I'm Jared Harris, and I'm in the studio with The Hollywood Reporter.
So congratulations on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you.
Lead actor in a limited series for Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm.
So let's first talk about the role itself. In the past, you've been blessed and cursed with characters that are complex, depressed, defeated, and even suicidal.
I think that's blessed as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an actor.
You have a good ending to your story. I mean, a good death scene means that the audience will remember your character's story.
Yes.
Just means you're out of a job afterwards.
Right.
Sucks on that side.
What is it like to play the role of a character who is so connected to their own mortality?
I suppose I think all of the characters are. I mean, it's just sort of how you're dealing with it. I mean, good comedy, you can be asking yourself those questions. It's just how how you're dealing with it, how you're responding to it. I suppose, I mean, this question comes up because of the way that this character's life ends, and it's obviously very similar to what happened with Lane Price. But there were different statements, if you like, and which of course then you have to understand that's the point of it. That's what the writer's getting across, and it's a nuance of your character. But so Lane was really trying to make life as difficult as he could for the people in that office, and it was a sort of sticking a finger up. It was cutting off your nose to spite your face in a way. Mm-hmm. But in this one, Valery's dying. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I saw something that his daughter wrote that said that he was actually much sicker at the end of his life than we portrayed him to be. And so he did not have much time left, and he used it as a way of an instigating event to make a statement and try and spur action. So it was not. It wasn't a futile gesture in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is your impression of Legasov? You spent a lot of time in his shoes.
Yeah, it was interesting because I always do a lot of research, and even if the character's not a biographical character, and of course this one was, but there actually wasn't a lot of information on him because the Soviets actually succeeded in scrubbing him from the narrative. What I did see about him, I could see that sort of as an archetype, he was quite similar to Stellan's character. Mm-hmm. And that was starting to bump against what Craig wanted from that relationship, which was a contrast between the two. Mm-hmm. And that I needed to occupy a different space to the space that Stellan was going to occupy. So, and my impression of the real Legasov was that he was actually in that sort of traditional Russian alpha personality. Mm-hmm. He came across as actually very confident, and he occupied his space. But that didn't work really for what Craig needed to happen in our story and the journey that our two characters were going to take.
You feel something for these two characters. You feel that in the way that they came together. It gives you a little bit of hope in humanity.
Yeah, I mean, again, that it's Craig is a very, very smart writer, and he has a podcast about screenwriting where he talks about, he's been going for a long time. So one of the things that he was able to deploy was certain structures from different types of movies. So and use them to sort of to keep each episode fresh, and that particular thing that he employs is the bromance genre, if you like. And it's these two people who are completely opposed, at odds, antagonistic to one another at the beginning of the story, and they start to realize that if they're going to succeed, they're going to need to rely on one another. And then they become bonded by the fact that they are the only two people who've consistently gone through this whole experience, and that they're sharing the same fate, which is that their lives are going to be drastically cut short because of it, and they they can't leave. So they know that's a shared fate that they're going to have.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the theme of just kind of the the mettle of the Ukrainian people. Because I didn't know before that it took 600,000 people to clean up the Chernobyl site, get it to the point where it is today, where it's under control, question mark?
Yeah, they've got a containment structure that's going to be good for 100 years, and then they'll have to rebuild it, fix it, you know, and that site itself is going to be problematic for, I mean, then depending on who you talk to, 25 to 40,000 years.
What did you learn about the culture of the Ukrainian culture? It's such an interesting time because it's right before the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Some might say this was the cause of the fall of
Gorbachev
the
said
Soviet
that.
Union.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some, like Gorbachev.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that I appreciated about Craig's intent was it was to shine a light on the self-sacrifice and heroism of these people who did all this without any expectation of a reward or of being lionized in any way. And then, of course, there's the expression that Boris's character, Stalin's character, says, which is that this is been traditionally their fate, you know, that this has happened constantly throughout their lives. So we were in the Ukraine for a week. We shot in Kiev, and Kiev doubled for exterior Moscow scenes, streets and stuff. And one of the things that I remember about shooting there was that you would see apparently everyone in the army, everyone between the ages of 16, men or women, and 49 are all in, they rotate in and out of active service, active duty, because they are, I think when we were there, Russia was shelling the eastern part of the country. So, you know, it's sort of a slight that mindset of being under siege, you know, and they, I suppose they're expecting trouble to start and not to get much help.
What do you think about the tourism of the exclusion zone? This is a new thing.
It's been going on for a while. It was a sort of adrenaline tourism, isn't it?
Right.
It's been going on for a while. Yes. Anthony Bourdain goes in there, one of his Anthony Bourdain parts unknown. Mm-hmm. But I think this idea that this sort of the new thing is that the Instagram people going in there and taking these practically naked shots of them in front of leaning on whatever structures that are still. I would just say that, you know, there are parts of that whole place that are still probably not safe. And
would you go?
No, we were asked if we wanted to go. My wife said absolutely not.
Smart.
I didn't want to go, actually. I didn't. It feels slightly ghoulish to go there and do that. No.
The Ukraine is saying they want to turn their brand around and make it a positive tourist attraction for them.
Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's going to be an interesting.
They said
meeting,
it's going to be good for the brand.
You sit down and spitball how you can do that. I mean, I don't know how you would do that.
I don't know.
But I do know that there's one of the things that positively that came out of this show was that story of the sacrifice and what they did to secure Europe's future was not known, and that there are flowers and stuff like that being left at commemoration markers, and that they're being appreciated for that. So that's a positive thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that brings in the humanity once again. You know, the humanity is there underneath all of the politics.
Yeah, I think that was definitely part of the DNA of the scripts that Craig was writing. You know, and I mean the most sort of affecting human story in the whole series is the relationship between Jesse's character and Adam's character. He's the firefighter, the first responder, and the pregnant wife, and you follow their journey through the story. And I mean, they represent the innocent victims of this because they had absolutely nothing to do with it, you know.
Yeah, and Americans can identify with the idea that the first responders are usually the casualties.
Yes, and they don't get looked after.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think? the Academy and the audiences responded really well to Chernobyl.
Yeah.
They're usually, more into dragons. So what do you
Sure.
think about Chernobyl
Yeah.
is so popular among
I
audiences?
don't know. It's a good. I mean, I think everybody knew that the material was really good and that it was a good show in that sense. It was a powerful show, but the way that it took off, I think, took everyone by surprise. And you can never know what people are going to be thinking about 18 months from now. And that show came out at this point where it touched a nerve in what people were thinking about, and so it had a parallel to a lot of the conversations and things that are going on, either politically or environmentally, that are on people's minds right now. So, and it's that sort of magical thing where you can't plan that. And although a lot of those questions are, again, in the DNA of the show that Craig wrote, you don't know if people are going to they're going to take that up or not. So it's got to do something with that. And it's a fucking good show.
It is.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
Jared Harris, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The limited series is Chernobyl on HBO.